If you are a college upperclassman, young professional, or just someone stuck in their job, listen up. A new book by a local author hopes to provide a common sense approach to becoming the best you that you can be. So I'm thrilled to welcome right now retired financial exec and author Tim Carnahan here with more on his book. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good. We're thrilled that you're here. So I would love to start with this. Why did you want to write a book like this? Do you wish you had this when you were younger? Did you talk with, people you were mentoring and you found that they needed, a guide?
Yes. I was so lucky to have a couple people take interest in my career early on. So that carried on throughout my career, paying back what they did for me.
Okay.
And now being retired, to have something to put in people's hands that they can pass along and just assist them in their future is just something I wanted to do.
So how did you decide to structure this book? Because I'm sure you have so many life lessons and tips that you could learn. It could probably be so long, right?
Right, it is. I try to do it, first of all, in a very succinct way.
Okay.
We know that people want quick reads and that sort of thing, so I probably left more on the editing room floor than I have in the book.
Sure.
But my goal was really to help somebody, a young person, plan their career.
Okay.
And for example, tell me about how you plan a vacation.
Okay, a vacation. Well, after I have the spot, selected where I'm traveling to, I do research. I find out, things that are going on in that town. Obviously, you book the hotel, make sure, or Airbnb or Vrbo, make sure you have the proper accommodations. Maybe book some outings, excursions. I'm planning all my outfits. I make a very detailed list and itinerary.
So you've just described probably more work than some people put into planning their careers.
Wow. Yeah.
So the whole point here is, how do you know where you're going unless you decide where you're going to go,
right,
and then starting that path. So the book is about putting that plan together, and it doesn't have to be super long term. It can be short steps.
Okay.
But then once you do that, understanding who you are, what your traits are, what your skill sets are, what your personal traits are, and then what the organization expects of you, obviously, is very important because they're paying you.
Of course, of course. Well, let's share one of your stories and lessons. You share many of them in the book. Can you tell us really quickly about the Candyman?
Sure.
Yeah.
In talking about people and having passion for what they do, we hear so many entertainers like yourself and athletes say, this was my passion, and that's how they became successful.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to work in their passion lane,
that's true,
right?
Yeah.
They're earning a living. So I think it's important for people to be able to make that transition. You may not be working your passion, but you can be passionate about your job.
Yeah.
And I think that was certainly my case in accounting. Accounting was not my passion, but I certainly was passionate about what I did.
Yeah.
So my wife and I was going to speak at my high school commencement 50 years after I'd graduated. We were flying into Detroit. We were picking up a car shuttle. And so we're all sitting on the bus, and a guy comes onto the bus, stands at the front, he goes, "I'm the Candyman." And he proceeded to sit down and say, we're going to listen to some Motown music, we're all going to sing together, and we're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
So by the time we got off that shuttle in 15 minutes, everybody was happy.
Yeah.
It was just, he was our friend. But the thing that struck with me is, here is a guy, probably been sitting in that seat for 35 years. He does this route 30 times a day, 15 minutes at a time, and he was passionate about his job.
Yeah.
And that was a life lesson for sure.
Wow. So this kind of connects with one of your, I believe it's your chapters, correct me if I'm wrong, or something you share in the book, Know Thyself.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're discussing here?
Yeah, these are just a couple of items. There's a laundry list of items in assessing who you are.
Yeah.
And we just picked out a couple of these, and understanding who you are and what it is that you do appropriately. And companies look at that.
Yeah.
So if we look at this list, understanding if you have an analytical skill set, it's important to know. Can you collaborate with people?
Right.
Communication, are you able to talk? Emotionally intelligent, can you read the room?
Yeah.
All of these types of things are something you may learn in college a little bit, but are things that you may need to take to the next level as you get out there, because we all have to change in a new environment.
Yeah, for sure. You have some more tips that you would like to share, and traits that are important to have. You talk about this in a chapter called An Inside Out Perspective.
Right. So that is really less a technical skill than more about who you are, what your traits are, the types of things. We just talked about passion.
Yeah.
Certainly that becomes part of success anywhere, is being passionate about what you do. You know that. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
passionate
Yeah.
about your job here.
Yeah, for sure.
But are you approachable? Are you empathetic? And I think empathy is something that you're not getting in a college class anywhere,
Right.
but it's certainly important as we deal with human beings and deal with each other. We want to understand how people feel and how we can best approach them. My management view was always, you just don't manage people the same, you just manage them fairly. And I think having that type of thought process is what helps.
Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned some people who this book would be good for, but who do you think this book is best suited for?
I think it reaches people who are in college very, very easily.
Yeah.
Certainly college graduates. If somebody is stuck in their career and still doing the coaching that I'm doing and the mentoring, I'm mentoring some 40-year-olds that were
Yeah.
using this material because they're just stuck in their career.
Yeah.
So it helps them look at themselves and how can we help move forward.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us. You've got to get your hands on this book, Under Development, A Commonsense Approach to Being Your Best, okay? Pick it up where books are sold online, specifically Amazon and Barnes & Noble, just for the title that we just mentioned.